And we are live once again. It's Spin Cycle. Welcome in, welcome all. Andrew Southwick with you in the middle, Julianna Ormond, and over on the right side of your screen, R.C. Williams. And if you're watching vertical, hey, I learned how to stack our images, and I just learned that like about 5 minutes ago, and I'm not sure I remember how, but at least we've got that. At least we saved it. So for the next time we're all three of us together, it'll be a stack like that when we're under one. My goodness, tons of stuff going on. I'll say this before we were coming on the air, because when we come on, we just sort of come on and say hello, and I guess that's cool. But I was wondering, if we had a theme song to the Spin Cycle, what theme song would it be? So anybody who's watching this live or on demand, what do you think our theme song should be? And let us know, and maybe we'll make an intro or something like that. All right, guys. Before we get going, I just want to touch in with you. What is there anything that has stood out to you this week that maybe we've missed or something like that we should make sure we touch on before we get going with all the video clips? And we got a lot of them. President Trump's back at it again on Fox News. We've got stuff from AI data centers to healthcare plans, and a whole lot. So we're going to be bringing you the gamut. But anyway, my friends, anything that we've missed so far before we get into this?
So I don't want to say that we missed it. I think we actually talked about it a little bit, but I really want to talk about how the fact that the people are standing up. Like, we're talking about all these different issues, but the most important thing that I've been seeing is that people are getting vocal. They're talking about what's going on. They're starting the dialogue and saying, what is a data center and why do they need it? And what's a control system and what is a CBDC? Like, at least we're now having conversations about what's going on out in the world. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. I'm very excited about the fact that we're standing up.
Yeah, Andrew, I'd agree. This is with what Juliana said. That's great news. And it feels like the week has been that way. Stuff that we did earlier today and even now. I think the other thing that became very evident for me this week is the need for scripture, right? We're starting to see paradigms break. And so a lot of closely held beliefs are being shook at their core. And honestly, the only thing, and I think we look at Culture Crossroads and we look at this show as a beacon and a lighthouse for people who are looking for answers. I kind of felt that shift this week, and there's really going to be a need for people to understand why things are happening the way that they are. So that's a blessing. Revelation is meant to be a blessing. And I think as watchmen, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, right? We're on the wall, we're letting people know what's going on, and we're providing context on what's happening.
All right, well, let's get started. President Trump speaking to a presser covered by Fox News, ratepayer protection, the pledge. You see that in the background, talking about AI data centers. This is a quick clip, but let's know what he had to say.
Because you have to convince your community how great these things. You can't fight it. You have to go with it. And you're going to have all that protection, and we're giving you automatic protection, but you're going to make a tremendous amount of money. You're going to reduce taxes, and you're going to have something that if you don't have it, everybody else wants it.
Okay, so this clip has been all over social media, and particularly people on the right, back and forth. A lot of yes data center, no data center, but once again, a little bit incoherent. Everybody wants data centers, but you got to convince everybody to get the data centers because everybody wants data centers. And we're going to give the data centers immunity, and they're going to make a bunch of money. And he goes on, and I may have the other clip. I'm going to check right now, but he goes on to talk about how he knows the data centers are going to need way more power than America can supply, 2 and 3 times more. And actually says, hey, he doesn't really care about that. He's going to clear the way and make it happen, clear all the red tape, make it happen. Data centers, let's call them what they are, surveillance centers. Nobody wants them. I mean, this is an 80-20, maybe even an 85-15 issue. Democrat, independent, Republican, no one wants these. The practical outworking of this is they're a land grab. And you can go and you can see where all these data centers are going. It's wiping out Middle America. It's wiping out our farmlands. It's encroaching on our residential neighborhoods. We've already seen, and we've covered stories where, particularly one in western Utah near California, where we had 50,000 residents who were told they were going to lose their power supply because the power was now going to an incoming data center, and that in 2027 they were going to have to find new power because their power is going to a data center. And you know what else is interesting? Well, no, I'm going to shut up right there so I can look for that other clip. But my friends, I don't know how tone deaf we can be, and I think one of the things that is unfortunate about this is this would be an easy, low-hanging fruit victory for Republicans and President Trump, who is the face, the head, the leader of the Republican Party, that this is an issue that virtually everybody is against data centers. Nobody wants them, but now we're being gaslit into, and it reminds me of how they sold COVID, right? Nobody wants them, but beg your friends to get them. Nobody wants them, but we'll give you free lottery tickets. We'll pay you $20. We'll give you a burger. We'll do whatever we have to do to get you to take these injections. Well, the data centers are being sold the same way. That tells you the people don't want them, but our rulers have made deals and probably taken money and made promises that they now, I'll bet you dollars to donuts, have to keep.
Not for nothing, but I think, like Catherine Austin Fitts keeps saying, these data centers are control grid systems, right? We're not going to give consent for them to enslave us, because that's literally what they're saying. Trump is going on going, you need to tell your community members that this is a good thing and we want that. No, we don't want to be enslaved. We're not interested in bringing in the data centers because they're really not data centers. They really are enslavement systems. No, thank you. We, the people, will take a pass, because remember, Trump and the rest of our government, your job is to maintain our sovereignty. These data centers aren't maintaining our sovereignty. Actually, to the contrary, they're taking away our sovereignty. And you want to say, get behind that? I don't think so.
A weird world in which we live. So let's tackle the most obvious thing out of this first, besides it being insane. Let's start with this. So Trump says, obviously, we're going to need 2 to 3 times more power, but I'm not worried about it. Now, if you've watched Culture Crossroads or anything we've done, we've already told you where the money is. That's going to be miniature nuclear reactors and nuclear power. That's the only way that you can actually power these things. So if you listened to us early on and you moved a little bit of money around, this isn't investment advice or anything like that, you probably made out pretty good, and you will continue to make out good, because that's the only answer. Here's the bad news. Right? For President Trump, nobody wants these things. No matter how much you say it, no matter how many times you say it, no matter how convincing you try to be to the lockstep and everybody that's in line, people still don't like it. And if it's not that they don't like it, they have an uneasy feeling about it. Now, Julianna and I were actually at an event for Paul Renner on Sunday night. And what was interesting is that it was like an experts forum where he listened to experts on topics, and then he got feedback, and then he talked about it. One of the things they talked about was the data centers, and how the groups that are trying to put these up say, well, look, the noise, it's not going to be a big deal. What they shared with us is that is a misnomer. It's actually a sleight of hand, because the way that they're measuring the decibels, if they say, yeah, it doesn't make noise, it's fine. But there's the hum, like the constant noise. If you measure that, it's completely off the charts. And that really wigs people out. Like, it takes you off balance, and it's a form of noise pollution, but they're not measuring for that with the data centers. So they can say, hey, look, the noise isn't going to be an issue within the radius. We got it covered. But what they're not telling you is that they don't have it covered on all the levels. And Andrew, like you said earlier this week, the other thing is that these things are going to be obsolete in the very short term. And Google in particular has full plans on how they're going to abandon these things and just kind of move on when whatever they need to get done is done. Here we go again with the inability, like you said earlier, low-hanging fruit, but the inability to say, hey, we've made a mistake here. We need to take a pause and do things the right way. The ego and the arrogance is going to be the unbecoming for hundreds of millions of people. We got 105 million plus that aren't working. Many of them have just given up. I said it before we came on the air. You know, it wasn't the golden age when I had to put $60 in the tank this morning. But this is the reality that most Americans deal with. And the best we can come up with is, hey, everybody wants these, are going to like them, you're going to love them, you just got to convince people. This is theater of the absurd.
Yep.
Let me play this a little bit longer clip. This is more remarks from President Trump talking about the data centers and the power they're going to demand and they require.
We're here today to continue the incredible progress we're making in communities nationwide to ensure that as new data centers go up, and they're going up all over, electricity bills for American families will actually come down. You know, you're going to be building your own data centers, and you're going to building your own electric plants. You're essentially becoming a utility like Con Edison in New York, but maybe at a level that nobody's ever seen before, because we've seen some of the plants that they're building are absolutely incredible. They're absolutely incredible. They're electric plants. It's hard to believe, but you need double the electricity that we have right now, maybe even more than that, to really fulfill what you want to do. We're leading China by a lot. And using our old grid would not have worked. And I came up with the idea that, you know, build your own plant. This way nobody can complain. You won't call me and say what a terrible job I'm doing, because we have a 200-year-old grid that's not the best in the world. You look at some places, you take a look at California, you have brownouts and blackouts every weekend. The last thing they're going to be able to do is supply electric at numbers. Nobody's ever explained to me why it's so much electricity, why you need so much, nor did I care that much, to be honest with you. All I know is you need more than double what we produce right now. Think of it. So we produce tremendous amounts of electricity for every business, and this industry needs more than double that amount. So we're letting you build your own with the Trump administration's ratepayer protection plan. The American innovators and consumers thrive to win together because we're insisting that AI data centers and big tech companies pay their own way. And that's what they're doing. And they're happy to do it because this way they're going to be able to function and function brilliantly. They're going to have a lot of electricity left over, and they'll put that into the grid. So we'll actually end up with more electricity. The rates are going to go down. As president, I've always said that America's goal must be to dominate the future. And that includes being the #1 superpower in artificial intelligence. So important. And
I want to break that down. There's a few claims that President Trump makes in that section there, and I just want to look at it objectively. At the end, he says, you know, the rates are going to go down. Let's remember that he also said a couple of years ago that he's going to cut the price of gasoline in half, that he's going to end Russia-Ukraine in one day, that we're not going to have any new wars or regime change. I mean, we can go down the list of the things that he has said that have been the exact opposite. But when it comes to these data centers, he's saying that, and I'm working backwards from the end of the video to the front of it, that when he says you also, we're letting you do what you want to do. He's talking to the builders of the data centers. He's not talking to the American people. We don't want them. We're not building our own data centers. We're not building our own power plants. But he's saying they're going to build their own power plants and they're going to have excess power. So then they're going to become like a utility. Do you really think, and I put this on my X feed, do you really think in any world, any business that has additional electricity is going to give it back to the people altruistically because, you know, we are the world, you know, we are the ones we've been waiting for. Imagine all the people. I mean, honestly, do we really think that's going to occur? Number one. Number two, we've already seen that with the example that I mentioned for the 50,000 residents in Utah, that the power companies are going to prioritize the data centers. The data centers get the front of the line. Also, where are the environmentalists right now? We've been told for decades, shut off your lights, shut off your television, unplug your refrigerator. You're using too much electricity. We're destroying the planet. Now we're saying out loud and on television, we need 2 and 3 times more just for this one industry. Even that alone should give us pause just to say, hey, wait a minute. Well, if we do need that, why aren't we building that infrastructure first? Why are the data centers coming in at the same time? We don't, you know, when you get your house ready to have you know, friends over, you don't have the friends over and then everybody cleans the house together. You get the house ready first and then your friends come over, you know? we're doing this backwards. And if we are doing it backwards, do you really think that your energy price is going to go down when we are putting more draw on it, 2 and 3 times more draw on the electric grid? In what world does that math make sense? Let's just start there.
So let's just talk about the history, what we've been looking at. As far as I'm concerned, from looking at this, is that they've used this whole water situation as the propaganda. Oh, we're going to get people yelling and screaming about the water situation instead of talking about the fact that this is a control grid system that we're building. So then they'll complain about the water. And then we'll say, oh, you know what? I'm sorry about the electricity. And then you know what? We'll tell them that they can they can have their own electricity, and then they're going to give it back to you peons. Right? Because they're going to be so good and so altruistic that they're going to use it. They're going to make their own electricity. They're going to power their own data centers. And then they're going to give us back the electricity. Really? Like, do you not, like, American people, do you not see the propaganda? Do you not see how they've been like pulling us along by our nose? They're lying to us and they're giving us a story so that we'll go, yes, we believe you and we trust you. We're just going to fall in line. No, let's start looking at the lies, because everything that you said, Andrew, was completely 100% on target for the American people to go, this is insanity. We're looking at theatrics. They didn't all of a sudden think, oh, you know what? We need to create our own electric, whatever. I think they did that to make everyone nervous about having electricity come into the home. So they started threatening people. Then all of a sudden it's like, don't worry about the fact that this control system. We'll take care of the electricity. You just be ignorant.
Julianna,
people can't be that ignorant. Sorry,
Julianna,
go ahead.
You're fine. You're so spot on here. You're once again presented with false choice, because here's the reality that they don't want you to think about, is that there is no way that the electric grid can be brought up to any type of speed to handle that load within the next 500 years, right? It's just not going to happen. We're already strained in multiple places as it is, because what they're going to say is, listen, oh my God, turns out we can't do that. But here's the answer. The miniature nuclear reactors that are going to be put in and the nuclear power plants that we're going to take and we're going to bring back online are going to solve this problem. Okay? And you just got to let us do it. It's relatively safe, but there's a couple of things will work out. But just the fact it's near your house, it's not going to be that big of a deal, because basically you're going to get free energy and it's going to be okay. Right. So
but here's the problem is that they're telling you the problem is that they're telling you the problem is the electricity. That's not the problem. The problem is that this is a control grid system that they're putting in, and they don't want you to have conversations about that. They want you to be complaining about what's going on with the electric grid. I mean, seriously.
Correct. So they use the distraction, and then they manufacture a crisis to keep you diverted. We've talked about this all week on every episode, how when they're doing something like this, when they say, look at the shiny object, let me make sure my hand's in the picture, look at the shiny object, look at what they're doing with the other hand.
Yeah.
Right? Because really the control grid is the answer. Juliana, you're spot on. Yep. They're going to try to squeeze out as many crises as they possibly can, because they want to keep you off balance. It's the polycrisis that we talk about in our Great Gaslight keynote. The polycrisis is real. They hit you with so many crises that you simply give up and you say, just do whatever you want and just leave me alone. They're pushing you in that direction. And we said this to someone earlier today. Many of the people that you believe are on your side have never been on your side. And now they're revealing themselves, which tells you how far down the road we actually are.
And I need to say something too. We're attracting quite an interesting comment section here online. And what's difficult for this show, and one of the reasons why I think there are few of us of these kinds of programs who are willing to call the political right from the right, is that we're conservatives. I mean, I've been on record. I voted for Trump 3 times. But what we're willing to do is be honest when our side seems to be doing things, or is clearly doing things that we believe is going to be bad for our country, that we believe is going to be hurtful to all of America, Republicans, Democrats, Independents alike. One of the things I think that's too bad about our political culture right now is that there's no room for nuance anymore. You can't have,
Right.
you're not allowed to have any kind of critical opinion or critical questioning of your own side anymore. And you see it happening with both Republicans and Democrats
Right.
that call their own side and say, hey, you guys are acting foolish. The Democrats you see that are calling out the rise of communism from the Democrat Party, they get ostracized by their party. The conservatives that are calling on the Republicans to say, hey, let's lead in a conservative way. Let's lead in a liberty way. Let's not continue to get government in bed with every single big industry that we can think of. Let's not have government be the ones leading the way in taking up our farmland through by big tech corporations, undercutting our food supply. And food supply is closely connected to our freedom and liberty, by the way. So
Yep.
It's not that we say, hey, vote for Democrats. I'm not voting for a Democrat. But at the same time, I don't want to vote for this mess either. And however, right now, there are the two parties. If people on the right don't grow enough of a backbone to stand up to the leaders on the right, when the leaders on the right are leading like they're the leaders on the left, then we don't have representation. And
Right.
100%.
that's what we're asking is, listen, everybody else gets a voice at the table. Why don't we? We're people who voted for you or voted for many in the Republican Party, at least, and you're not representing us. And so that's what we're talking about. And here's another example of this. Here's another example of this I want to bring up. This is from Trump's Georgia rally, and then I'm going to get off the Trump stuff, but this is the last little bit. This is from Trump's Georgia rally. And he, again, this is a quick one, about 19 seconds. This is about healthcare.
We'll pass the great health care plan. It's called our great health care plan. That's the name of it, to stop all payments to big insurance companies and give the money directly to the people so they can buy their own health care, which will be much better, and you will save a lot of money.
And all the clapping seals back there. Okay, so let's understand what he did. Now Republicans for 15, 16 years have been saying we're going to repeal Obamacare, maybe almost 20 years. We're going to repeal Obamacare. They held, 58, 59 show votes prior to Trump coming in to repeal Obamacare. Trump comes in 2016. We have a trifecta. We've got the presidency, we've got the House, we've got the Senate. Did we repeal Obamacare? No, we did not. Then Trump actually began to adopt it about halfway through his first term anyway, and started calling it the Affordable Care Act and everything else. Then you start to hear, Biden gets elected, and then in the campaign, the 24 campaign, you start to hear Republicans saying repeal and replace. Rick Scott of Florida was a big repeal and replace proponent, and now we have Trump saying, no, we're going to make a new plan, the great American health plan, whatever it is. And if you listen to what he said carefully, he said, we're going to stop the payments going to insurance companies, and we're going to give that money back to the people so the people can choose which insurance companies they want to give that money to. First of all, the only money that they're giving to the insurance companies is the money they're taking from our paychecks before we even get it in our hands. Okay? So that's first. That's your Medicare, your Medicaid, your Obamacare. That all comes out of your paycheck before you even get it. Part of your withholding. So I guess he's saying they're going to reduce the withholding, I guess. But what I wonder is this: if they're saying that we're then supposed to use that money for to put back into medical insurance companies, is that money going to be directed money? Like, are we going to have to? Is that going to be our withholding form? Like, we're going to make a choice on our withholding form which one that wants to go to, or are they just going to give us cash? Because if they give us cash, then we'll do what we want with it. And why don't we just do what we want with it? Why don't we get healthcare out of the socialist market? It's been socialist for decades anyway. It's not free market. But even that as a ruse, he's taking money that the government is taking money that they already take from you, giving it back to you to give you the false illusion of a choice because they want you to give it right back to the insurance companies that they would just give it to in the first place anyway. I don't know of a dumber idea when it comes to healthcare plan. And I'm for the free market, but that's not the free market. That's just a shell game of the same money going to the same insurance companies, except this time they want you to feel like you're making the choice. Am I missing something?
Not at all, actually. That was spot on. But you know what? If people don't see the game, and this is why the spin cycle is so important, right? We're talking about here's the spin, right? They want you to believe X, but in reality, here's Y. And this is why they're, it's all baloney. I mean, it's not true. It's all theatrics. It's nothing but theatrics.
Please stop the ride. I want to
Serious.
get off.
Serious.
That's where I'm at, Andrew. Juliana said it. You summed it up perfectly. But seriously, like we've been on this 10-year roller coaster, this reality show, and I'm just like, please stop the ride so I can get off, because those things aren't going to happen. And I forget who was saying it on social media today, but they said, we're tired of the memes, we're tired of the promises, we're tired of the speeches. You've run out of time to actually do things, right? Like actually do something. It's like we said, Andrew, on election night in 2024. At best, you've got 18 months. At best, to get stuff codified into law, and if you don't, none of this work will matter. Here we are, just about that point.
Yep.
And what's been codified into law? Just about nothing. All those executive orders and all those promises and all that stuff goes away on Inauguration Day in 2029, because your inability to be effective beyond memes, speeches, and promises has put us in a pickle. And this is why, Andrew, you, us, and others are questioning their recent purchase, because we're like, that's not what I paid for. Right? This is this is what I paid for.
I had a great conversation with Valerie Wartz this morning, and we were talking about judging all the different politicians, Republicans or Democrats. And we're both like, you know what? There's going to be a really big shakeup. So, for example, in Florida, if Byron Donalds gets in, I'm going to make a prediction, and I'm going to predict there's a lot of people that aren't with the MAGA. They're not following what Trump is doing anymore. They're going to vote for Jolly. You know why they're going to vote for Jolly? Because at least if it's a Democrat that gets in, we can fight against him and he'll get nothing done. If Donalds gets in, we as a state are done. I mean, we're done. You could just like it was almost as if DeSantis was never in for all of his terms. Like, we're done. So, I mean, what's going to happen? You keep pushing, you keep shoveling at us what you think that the people want and saying you need to vote for this candidate. I think there's going to be a really big shakeup. I think the people are standing up and they're saying, you know what, my voice needs to be heard. I'm tired of this.
Well, and one of the reasons why we're tired of it is because we see what's coming, whether it's health insurance, whether it's data centers, whether it's real ID. It all ultimately winds up in surveillance state. That really is, I believe, the end game.
Yep.
And in a practical sense, it's a land grab, and then in the functional sense, it's a surveillance state. This is from America's Voice. This will be our last story today. This is from America's Voice. It's Representative Keith Self on Stinchfield tonight, and he is talking about why we need to put an end to the surveillance state.
Not tackling the constitutionality of flock cameras. I'm simply saying I am concerned about the federal surveillance state that is growing. We've had this discussion in the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Get a warrant before you get electronic communications. We now have this. As of 2027, federal law says every car that is made will have a kill switch, which determines, spies on you inside your vehicle. Are you impaired? If it considers you impaired trying to get your wife to the hospital to have a baby, you might look impaired. It won't start for you. It won't run. So the surveillance state, and then I'll go on to the central bank digital currency. If we give the federal government transparency into your bank account, it's over.
Mm-hmm. He's not wrong. He's not wrong at all. And we've talked about those stories actually at length on the Sunday show in Culture Crossroads. But when he talks about the cameras, here's one of the things, that the data that's being stored, we have to also realize this. The data is being stored by private companies. Here's why this matters. The CIA, the FBI, constitutionally is not allowed to spy on citizens. Now, the Patriot Act opened up some of that door. FISA 702s opens up some of that door. By the way, President Trump used to hate and decry FISA until he liked it. So, I don't know. But they're not supposed to. However, let's say that the CIA or the FBI subpoenas the records from Palantir, which we know has made most of its profit now based on government contracts because it has a really cushy seat at the table, being only a degree of separation away from the presidency because of Peter Thiel's backing of J.D. Vance. Well, then that's a great backdoor way for CIA, FBI to get information on you and me without needing that same warrant. Well, they're not spying on us. They're just getting a report from Palantir. They always get these reports. And look what showed up. And would you know it? My goodness. Well, we have to take some action now. I mean, you see where these things going. This is one of the reasons why marrying our intelligence with Israel is a problem. The other foreign countries could potentially spy on us Americans, spy on our military, on our tech, not even directly through America, but through Israel. We have to trust these things as well. This whole thing is coming into effectively a catch-all for the data of every second of every day and every moment of our lives. And you add the central bank digital currency, you add the spy cars, you add health insurance where they're telling you where to spend your money and how to do it and all the other things. You are set up, and then you undercutting the food supply, funneling all of our food processing into 2 or 3 or 4 larger companies. You think the cyclospora outbreak is bad? Wait till that goes haywire. Clearly, we are centralizing everything that made us once free in America, and that is, I think, what most people, Republicans and Democrats, are instinctually rebelling against, because we know that you are taking away some of the basic building blocks of the freedoms that we have. We see it, we don't like it, we want it to stop. It's not a matter of convince your neighbor. We're trying to convince you, the government, to stop it. We just want to stop. However we can get to stop. That's why, Juliana, that's why people are considering voting in Florida for a Democrat governor. They just want the stuff to stop.
Correct. And they want people to keep fighting. Trump got in, and then all of a sudden people just sat down. If Donald gets in, everyone's going to sit down. If Charlie gets in, at least we have a fight.
And that's it. But that's also a dangerous play, as you know. Yeah. It's a very dangerous play because the Florida legislature is every one of them are not exactly bastions of conservatism. And some have showed that they're willing to wheel and deal with the left as well. So there's no guarantee that, for example, Bill Clinton presidency of the 90s, where he triangulated with a Republican Senate and a Republican House, there's no guarantee that kind of thing repeats itself today. We live in an entirely different world with an entirely different calculus, and with a government that is more in bed with big tech than ever before. I have a clip here. We don't have time to show it, where Trump is bragging about that we bought 10% of Intel. Why is the government investing in other businesses? He then said, hey, we made $70 billion. Well, by the way, any money that the government has, they take from you and me, which means that they took our money via taxes, invested it into a company, made a profit of $70 billion. Do you think any of we, the people whose taxes paid for that, whose taxes earned that profit, are going to see a dime of that in our checks? Oh, no. The only money we're told we're going to get is the money from the healthcare plan that we have to give back to the insurance companies anyway. Why isn't the GOP, anybody in the GOP, speaking out on this at all?
Because they're complicit.
Yeah, I'm going to say they're on the gravy train. Andrew, before we jump off, I want to point something out to those in different cults, because there are a couple of different cults flying around here that are probably going to bash us on this and say we're anti this, we're anti that. Let me give a moment of clarity. Oh, the flock cameras, no, it's really not that bad. It's always that bad. It's actually always worse than you think. But here is the level of ability that Flock has, and we covered this back in January. Flock is so good at what they do that all of their surveillance video ended up sitting on a website that was publicly open. Publications called it Netflix for stalkers. And Flock didn't even realize this was happening. These are the same people that are putting these cameras up everywhere, apparently, for your safety. They can't even keep your data safe. Not that they really want to, but think about that for a second. What are the implications of basically building out a Netflix for stalkers? And it's just okay. Like, it's just okay now. We should just move on from it because that seems to be the prevailing theme. So here's the deal. We're not going to move on from it. The Spin Cycle, Culture Crossroads, the Watchmen Brief, the Watchmen Action Network, we're not going to move on from it. And if that makes us unpopular, I think I can speak for all of us, so be it. This isn't a popularity contest. This is about trying to save what little we have left of freedom before it's too late.
We do have to run. We're over time. I want to remind everybody. Actually, I want you to remind everybody just really quickly where they can get the Empowered to Act book. It is a step that citizens can take if they don't like the direction of their country. We do have a constitutional way to do it. Our problem is we, the people, are not putting the pressure of the Constitution to bear on our representatives. That's on us. That's on we, the people. If we, the people, don't hold them accountable, they're not going to hold themselves accountable. Are you nuts? Criminals don't put handcuffs on themselves. I'm sorry. They're not going to do that either. Power is not going to restrain itself. So we have to do it. You have a book, Empowered to Act. Just real quickly, let them know where they can get that if they want to take a practical step to begin to push back against this in their community.
Thank you, Andrew. So you can go to Watchmen Action, it's plural, watchmenaction.org. And if you click on the training tab, Andrew, we've got everything there about how the training works, a sample of it. And you can even go through the training for free yourself. It's about 3 hours. It's one we recorded before. You can actually see how it works. And then your next step would be to get in touch with us, get your group together, get your training manual, and let's get you trained to advocate and defend yourself on the issues that matter most.
And by the way, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you can do that, because I think that at least at the bare minimum, we would like for there to be in America with enough room for Republicans and Democrats. And what we see now is an America that's going to pick and choose who they want and who they don't want. And that road leads only to madness. Remember our Sunday show, Culture Crossroads, Sundays, 5 p.m. Central Time, BECTV.plus, BEKTV.plus, also the Watchmen Action Network, which you can get on the Epic Cable. From Epic Cable. You can find that online as well. And for the Spin Cycle, we're Monday through Friday, middays, usually a little late today, but I had to mow the lawn this morning. So thanks for your patience there. But yeah, we'll be back on Monday. Stay safe, stay well. God bless you this weekend. And we'll see you for the Sunday show on, let's see, what are we talking about this Sunday? My goodness. We're talking about how, if you want to know how Congress does their budget deals and why they shove everything into one deal all the time, we break that down specifically and in detail. So you'll understand the grift that Congress is doing and why they keep missing deadlines and having continuing resolutions and never making a budget and jamming everything into must-pass bills because they know it wouldn't pass in the light of day. We break all that down. We also do talk about, we have some news on Florida governor candidate Byron Donalds that could affect the governor race. And of course, the Florida governor race will affect America because Florida is the free state in the union. And then we have a faith-focused segment, a story about homeschoolers getting bashed by some podcasters that apparently hate them. What's going on with that? So big show, Culture Crossroads, again, 5 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV. That is the time it airs, but you can see it on demand, BeckTV.plus. All right, guys, for R.C. Williams, Julianna Ormond, I'm Andrew Salvik. This has been The Spin Cycle. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next time.